Welcome to Behind the Curtain, Nashville's movers, shakers,
and tastemakers.
Brought to you by Cord Real Estate, your key to the heart of Nashville. I'm Steve Luther alongside my co-host Van Hoy.
Here we peel back the layers of Nashville's vibrant scene, sitting down with the innovators, creators, and leaders who shape our city. From music to business and everything in between, we dive into the journeys that have brought them to where they are today.
We're here to uncover the stories behind the success, the passion driving their pursuits, and why they've chosen Nashville as their stage. It's about the people who dream big, push boundaries, and make this city truly unique.
So join us as we explore the heart and soul of Nashville through the eyes of those who know it best.
Well, welcome to the show, Don Staniszewski, a seasoned leader in the logistics and transportation industry. As the president of Pillar Logistics and a pivotal figure in the National Home Delivery Association, Don has been instrumental in shaping the landscape of last-mile delivery services across the United States. His expertise spans the management of complex logistics operations for furniture, appliances, and electronics, servicing major retailers nationwide. With a career rooted in operational excellence and innovative logistics solutions, Don continues to drive the industry forward, setting new standards for efficiency and customer satisfaction.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Well, thank you, Stephen, man.
I'm telling you, that's impressive. What is last mile delivery services?
It's the final delivery to your home or office.
Okay.
And it's become very trendy because now, since the pandemic, especially,
right.
everybody wants things delivered to your home.
Yes, I love it.
And
every day, somebody's
right.
showing up at my door.
And in my industry, we actually specialize in big and bulky last mile delivery because, you can't have an Uber take a sofa to your house.
Right.
And you're not going to bring it in your own car.
No.
So it's become kind of a niche industry, and it's become very
refrigerator
popular.
Or something.
Refrigerators, washers, dryers, and such. And it's a necessary evil, and especially with appliances. I mean, people generally just don't go out shopping for appliances. You get them because your refrigerator doesn't work anymore, or your washer and dryer doesn't work anymore.
That's right.
So it's become a very somewhat stable industry, frankly.
Yeah. I love it. I do. I'm like, if I don't have to go to another store, I'm good to go. I like it. Order it.
So how did you get into logistics?
Well, I actually graduated in psychology, and I worked in a mental health hospital for a couple of years. And
you gonna like define us at the end of this time here?
And honestly, I loved that industry. It was fantastic. But the problem is you have to have a doctorate degree, and it's very, very difficult, very competitive. So I didn't have money to go to college, move on to college for a doctorate. So I actually went to work in the business industry in truck leasing and rental. And that's how I actually got into the trucking industry. My family had been in trucking for years as well. Mm-hmm. So it became of industry that I really liked. At the time when I got in the industry, I was one of the few younger guys with a bunch of 50-year-old older guys. And I was one of the few that had a college education at that time. So it was kind of valuable, and that's the way the industry started to progress. So I really spent my whole life in the last mile and trucking logistics industry and have really enjoyed it. It's been a great career for me.
Absolutely.
So last mile, I guess is kind of a niche of the distribution industry.
It is.
You immediately went into that or
I actually started out in like general trucking. Okay. And the problem with general trucking is that it became very price sensitive and price competitive. In the last mile delivery industry, there's a lot of finesse. The trucking is taken for granted, and it became more about the customer service and the delivery and getting things into a home without damaging the walls or the home or the people getting hurt. So it's more of a training and sophisticated industry in that regard. And so I enjoyed it. And it was, for me, it certainly is a hands-on management type of industry. You don't spend the whole day behind a desk.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that.
How have you seen the sector change over the years? I mean, I know COVID was probably a big change, or created a big change. How's it evolved over the years?
Without a doubt, COVID became a really big deal. When COVID struck and companies were shutting down or taking layoffs and such, we were busier than hell.
Wow.
Because people still needed their products.
Right.
Our biggest problem was the supply chain of getting the merchandise, actually. But everybody was really interested in getting things delivered to their home. And it became real popular. In fact, it's a big popular thing now. It's more and more popular for colleges. There was nobody that said, "Hey, I want to go in the last mile delivery industry." That was like, no one really thought anything of it. Now people really respect it, and it's become a really big deal. And we've grown by leaps and bounds because of it. The industry was.
Now, is it a litigious industry because you're going into so many people's homes and dealing with, you scratched my hardwood floors or whatever?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Those are some of the biggest issues. There's regulations issues, governmental regulations, employees, contractors, things like that. But you're right about damages, and the training is really important. You can't go in and damage the merchandise, damage people's homes. They pay $7,500 for delivery, and then you get a $40,000 claim.
Right.
So it's become very sensitive that way, and we spend a lot of time working on training and doing things right. That's why there's not companies that come and go in this industry, and a lot of larger, huge companies have previously shied away from this because the lawsuits can be intense, and so that's something that is a big liability in this industry that we have to watch out for, and we do.
Sure.
So that's why we're good at it.
Do the delivery people also assemble furniture?
They do.
And things like that?
They do. But see, now this is the problem with the industry.
Yeah.
You just can't take someone like you or I and say, "Look, go into a truck and now deliver this refrigerator into Steve's home." That's a big problem.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to navigate and get it in the home. You also have to install it.
Right.
And after you install it, there's things like water leaks that become really, really big issues and big risky liability issues. So we spend a lot of time on training and development of people, especially the delivery teams. And the delivery teams, we have a lot of respect for. They're just not truck drivers.
Right.
They are the face. They're out on their own and very autonomous. So we put a lot of faith and trust into them, and they do a good job. And but it's something that's a necessary evil. You just can't send anybody into a home.
Right.
Now, you said you moved here from Chicago about 9 years ago. What brought you to Nashville?
Well, I actually moved from Chicago to Sacramento.
Okay.
Originally, I was 14 years in Sacramento.
He saw the light like everybody else is. He's like, "Oh, I got to go there."
Although I do miss the weather in Sacramento.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, what happened was our main office was here, and most of our operations were out west. So I just stayed out west and remained there when I went to work for this. When I took over this company, and so I wanted to wait until my kids graduated from college, and after that, my wife and I moved here to Nashville about 9 years ago.
Very cool.
So yeah.
Well, and we're quite the trucking hub here. Not that it matters, I guess, for last mile delivery.
Last miles everywhere.
That's last miles everywhere.
Everywhere, yes.
Man.
So was it more of a personal decision to come, or was it, well, I really needed transition to?
No, I was traveling back and forth from Sacramento to Nashville because our main office was here. Mm-hmm. At the time, I was in charge of operations, so I spent a lot of time out in the field, but also coming to our main office quite a bit. And as things developed and grew and grew and grew, I was coming here more and more. So finally, I had to make the decision to just move here.
Right.
And at the time, we were previously discussing before this, I had another partner who passed away from COVID. So I had to be here and got totally immersed in the business. So.
Now, you also sort of helped launch the National Home Delivery Association. Talk to us a little bit about that. How did that come about? What's your role with them? What is the purpose of that organization?
The National Home Delivery Association was actually a group of us friendly competitors.
Uh-huh.
I, myself, and my partner had invited a bunch of our competitors here to Nashville. We were actually had a meeting at the Opryland Hotel, a 3-day meeting. So we invited the competitors, we had lawyers, we had insurance people, industry professionals talking about the state of the industry and what we needed to do to deal with some of the issues that were coming up and trying to resolve them. Out of that, we decided, man, this is a pretty good thing. We need to continue this. So I said, well, let's start an association. So we formed a nonprofit association with these companies, and it's just grown and grown and grown to where it's become the face of the last mile industry. We call it the voice of the last mile industry. There was no such industry in the past. There were these trucking associations, but none of them dealt with the complexity of last mile delivery.
Mhm.
Wow.
So this association grew from 11 people to where, now we have annual forums and meetings and such where, we have over 200 companies attend. And
That's great.
it's actually all the significant and the large last mile delivery companies across the nation belong to this industry.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, is there like a particular area of the country where a lot of these companies exist? Or it's interesting that such a large thing like this would be in Nashville. I mean, I get Nashville's a transportation hub to some extent, but does this tend to, like, are companies typically in one particular city or area, or
Not really.
all over?
Well, I would say, though, that a lot of the last mile delivery companies are really centered around large metropolitan areas. For instance, in Nashville, there's a lot of trucks every day that deliver to people's homes and offices. But there's also the rural factor as well. Going out in the boondocks, the delivery frequency is not as great, but it's still a necessary evil that they need to get their stuff because you can't bring it home in your car.
Right.
And
Right.
but they're all over the country. And what's become very popular just lately has been a lot of consolidations. Large companies see this as a vital link that they need to be in this industry. They've been buying up a lot of these smaller companies and such, and but they're all national. A lot of them are national footprint. My company is based in Nashville, but we're all over the country. We're in a
Cool.
lot of big metro areas where we
Right.
deliver for companies like Ashley Furniture, Restoration Hardware, Best Buy, Costco, and Home Depot, things like that.
Mhm. And the stuff you deliver, you're not going to have a drone delivering
Now,
that kind of
won't be
stuff.
soon. You'll see a drone carrying a
Right.
refrigerator over your home. So,
I love it.
but
I
no,
love it.
So,
um, what kinds of changes do you see coming for the industry? Um, you know, I'm sure there's probably some environmental things that come up.
there is. There's been a lot of environmental things. It's been a lot of technological advances, especially when you deal with things like AI and routing. What's traffic patterns are. What's the optimal way to deliver within time, within all these variables: size of the merchandise, time to deliver, area, and so on and so forth. So it's becoming more and more of a technological type of an industry, whereas before everything was manual years ago. Now we're relying on a lot of different things. And in fact, in our home delivery association, we are looking at different types of technologies where perhaps exoskeletons or different ways of lifting objects and bringing them into the home with stair
Wow.
climbers and things like that. Because is still a physically demanding industry.
Right.
It's not an old guy's game.
Right.
You know, people don't deliver in their 60s and 70s
Right.
anymore.
Right.
So we're trying to find easier ways to be able to accomplish that and still manage to get things into home properly.
Wow. Exoskeleton.
Well, have you ever seen?
I'm like, whoa.
You've seen the movie like Alien.
Yeah.
Ripley was using an exoskeleton to lift things up. And I think the same someday soon, we'll be seeing a similar thing in the last mile delivery coming into your home.
We need to get one of those for staging, man.
I love it.
You can start lifting stuff.
That and an avatar. Sign me up.
I'm just imagining you walking around the house in an exoskeleton.
There it is. I like it. But don't write off those 60-year-olds, because I'm telling you what, I had a piano delivered and there was a crew and the young guys are like, yeah, we can't figure it out. We're going to have to send it back. And the 60-some-year-old guy is like, guys, here. And he's just started. Sure enough, he got it right up.
Oh, the piano is one of the most difficult things to deliver.
Yeah.
It's bulky. It's, fragile.
Right. That's right.
So, yes.
Gotta love it.
Do you think is training getting more complicated? Like I would imagine, like some refrigerators now are pretty technical. They've got all these bells and whistles.
Yeah, they can even order your groceries for you.
Yeah,
they do.
Like, do you guys have to do all that kind of a setup?
We do.
Wow.
We do in setting up TVs and installing TVs,
right?
Setting them up. It's not, you just don't turn it on anymore.
Yeah,
it has to be set up. But yes, it is very technical. But another part that's become very, very big deal is the customer service aspect. So you take your your normal driver and helper and try to get them to deal with my wife, your grandmother, and have a smile on their face.
Right.
And that's a real challenge as well,
right?
Because people really are sensitive to that.
Yeah.
So that's a part of the training that we do, along with the technical aspect of how to install and hook up and assemble things.
That's good.
How do you stay ahead with some of these technological advancements that are coming? Is it like what do you do to stay on the front end of all this stuff?
You have to stay relevant, and you don't necessarily want to be the first one to come up with some new technological advancement, because it's very difficult, but you don't want to be the last one either. And so, through our association, we communicate with all of our competitors, what's going on, what are new developments, and so on and so forth. So that's how we do it mostly. There's not a lot of magic in this industry. It mostly has to do with the management and the people and how you manage things. There's no secret sauce. Everybody is kind of doing the same thing.
Right.
So,
well, with your trade organization, do you do much lobbying and that sort of thing?
We do. Yes, we do. We do some of that. There's a lot of regulations, particularly in California, that have become real cumbersome and such, that we're trying to work through. So yeah, that's become a very big issue.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of it has to deal with politics and who is in office. Who's the political people in California or the country. And
do you love that side of things?
Oh my goodness. we say
there's a softball for you.
We say that I know too much about legal issues and lawsuits, and generally the people that are the experts at it have had a lot of legal issues and lawsuits, and so I have too much experience in that.
They've either had to pay the bill or they got paid by the bill.
Yes. So yeah, it's become very litigious industry as well.
Gotcha.
What kind of things have you had to put in place to sort of manage this customer experience, customer satisfaction thing? Like, have you guys implemented some kind of systems, or like how do you manage that?
Absolutely. Every delivery that we do gets a survey. You get surveys, you get a call or whatever.
Right.
And these customer scores and NPS scores are a big, big deal. And that's how we're rated. Like I said earlier, the trucking is a necessary evil, and it's taken for granted. It's the customer service and getting it into the home and the installation. Is the customer satisfied?
So you saying I need to fill out the form? I need to give my star rating?
You don't even fill it out. We call you.
Oh, wow.
Because
you heard it here, people. Answer the phone.
That's right. That's right. And now everything is texting and so on and so forth. And you want to know where your delivery is at.
Yeah.
So you don't have to stay home all day. So it's become more and more sophisticated in that regard. Yeah.
I appreciate that when they ask my opinion through text.
They do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. That's good.
What's been kind of the general consensus for some of the sustainability stuff, moving to, some kind of alternate vehicle or, those kinds of things?
Well, we're really spending a lot of time with electric trucks,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very cumbersome, and it's not easy because when we have a location where, let's say we're running 100 trucks out of a location, the electricity that's needed to recharge up these trucks is like powering a skyscraper.
Wow.
And so we're trying to work with utilities. It's not done yet. And there's a lot of issues with that. And the range on trucks, you can't load it up with huge batteries because we need payload weight,
Right.
So we're working on the infrastructure right now is the biggest issue.
So are you friends with Elon?
Yeah, I actually own a Tesla.
Hey,
so I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah.
but it's an interesting transition, and I know California is really pushing.
Right, they are.
There's a lot of issues with that we're trying to work through. And now it seems like hydrogen is coming back.
Is it really?
Maybe an issue, maybe a popular transition type of a engine that may work because the infrastructure is not ready to support electric trucks yet.
What was the guy's name in Texas? I think it was T. Boone Pickens.
Yeah, that's right.
Pushing natural gas.
That's right.
Yeah, and somehow the electricity thing just won over.
Yeah.
And the hydrogen and was pushed aside. But now, with people getting cars that are electric and trucks getting electric, the infrastructure is really struggling. And they don't have it sorted out yet.
We need a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we do.
There you go.
Now, Elon's talked a lot about the self-driving trucks and some of the tech around that.
Freaks me out.
But like, I guess so. You don't have like the rest requirements. I don't know. I'm like,
no, that's a very good point. Is that and where that will come into play mostly is on over the road trucks that are on the highways, because
you know what we have trains for?
Well, that's what
I mean,
and that's what a truck becomes.
Right.
A train of trucks all following each other. When you drive down the road and you see all these Walmart vehicles going back and forth, that could be a big train of trucks all going together. And I think that the autonomous vehicle thing might come from there. They call it platooning, where there's one guy in front and he's got a bunch of trucks behind him that are automated.
I mean, if they had their own lane, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, what's very intriguing is my Tesla has autopilot.
Oh, okay.
And it is amazingly good.
Really?
But I don't think we're going to see automated trucks in neighborhoods per se yet, because they still need a driver and helper in there to deliver the stuff.
Right. You got somebody unload the truck when it gets there.
Right. But they do have trucks now that are going dock to dock. For instance, there's an experiment going on where they're going from Oklahoma City to Dallas each day with no driver in it.
No way.
It goes drive to dock and it backs up and so on and so forth.
That's happening now.
That's happening today. It's happening in Arizona.
I got to Google this. I did not know that.
People have no idea.
And it's on the actual road?
It is.
Well, Elon's got like a robot now that's pretty far along that's doing like factory work.
Yeah, but that's like on some factory in California or Texas or somewhere.
I think he's got
out on the actual road
hundreds of robots doing work in the Tesla factories.
Sounds like a Will Smith movie to me.
One of my favorite stories is there's a water plant in Salt Lake City. Okay, it's fully automated. They have a maintenance staff of 6 or 7 people, and they have no reason to turn the lights on. so it's always in darkness. They don't need lights.
Crazy. They're saving electricity.
Yeah.
I guess.
Wow.
So
Blowing my mind.
let's turn this personal a little bit. So
Oh, the Oprah moment, huh? We're gonna have an Oprah moment. We're gonna get serious. A little tear.
So talk to us about Iron Man. What got you into doing the whole Iron Man thing?
Well,
aren't you like a double Iron Man?
Yes, I am actually. And I had been a runner all my life. I've been kind of.
What were you running from?
But I'd always been in pretty good shape and such. So, and I don't know why, but when I lived in California, people were doing triathlons all over the place, and I thought, gee, I'd like to try one. And I did a small triathlon. I thought I was going to die, and I thought, especially the swimming part of it. And then I kept thinking about it. I said, man, I got pretty proficient at biking. I had always been a runner, so I took swimming lessons, and someone convinced me, why don't you try to do an Ironman? And I thought, this is inhuman. I was always in awe of these people that could actually go out there for, 10 to 15 hours and such. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll try it. I just want to finish one. So I started and I found out how difficult it was. and I enlisted the help from some friends. I got a coach involved and such. And I found out that, there's a long ramp up. Took me 9 months to ramp up to get in shape to do this thing. But it was more of taking it step by step by step. And I found out that, hey, I actually can kind of do this stuff. And I got better and better at it. It was a slow process. But I found out that, hey, maybe I could even just finish one. And I told my wife, I said, if I finish this Ironman, it was actually in Houston, Texas. If I finish this Ironman, I'm going to get a tattoo.
I love it.
And so, I was ready, and I did the Ironman, and I learned to just take it as it comes. Don't go and charge into it. And I finished it. And so I did a second one just to prove that it wasn't a fluke.
I love it. So the question is did you get a tattoo?
I did.
And what was it?
It's a tattoo on my bicep. It says Iron Man on it.
It says Thor.
Well, there's like an unwritten law that you cannot get an Iron Man tattoo unless you finish an Iron Man. Gotcha. So I was able to get one. The week after I finished, I got the tattoo.
I love it. Did you get like a second stripe afterwards?
No. One was enough.
Like a notch in your gun or something?
Have you thought about trying to do a third?
No. Well, what happened after I did 2 Ironman triathlons? I started to exercise, and I was in pretty good shape, but it was getting more and more difficult. And I went to the doctor. I said, something's not right. It took about 6 months for them finally to diagnose that I had a mitral valve problem. And it was a congenital thing. And I had to get open heart surgery.
Wow.
So I had to get my mitral valve replaced. I have
a valve job,
a bovine valve job. So now I'm pretty close to all the cows in the area. But coming back from that was a real challenge. I know, Steve, you've had your issues.
That's right.
Coming back from illnesses and such, but it was a real challenge, and I didn't realize it would be such a significant thing. So I don't think that I'll do another Ironman. The problem with doing an Ironman is it's a long commitment.
Right.
And I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning every day, work out, sometimes twice a day. And I was tired of being tired.
Sure.
So I did that when I was 56 and 58. And now I'm 60, 67. So I don't think that I'll be doing any soon, but I'm doing 5Ks and things like that. So
you could sponsor it, right? Instead.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Sit in the tent and sponsor.
That's right.
There you go.
You said moo.
I did say moo.
Moo.
I thought you were going to say Staniszewski.
Oh, he's so rude.
Well, I keep moving along with it.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I love it.
Now, all of this kind of led you into writing a book. Talk to us about the book.
Well,
it is an Oprah moment. We got a book. We got all this.
Everybody gets a
from-
book.
You get a
You
book.
get a book. You get a book.
Yeah.
well, somebody approached me and they said, you've got a lot of interesting things going on. Would you be interested in writing a book? I never even thought about it, to be honest with you.
Right.
I said, yeah, I might be interested. So the last year I've been writing a book. And
Were you a big reader?
I was, especially when I traveled, because
Okay.
every time I traveled on a plane, I could read one book. I read real fast. So, I read all these books and such, and I thought, well, how can I actually give back or contribute to society in some way?
That's good.
And I thought, there's been something that I've struggled with that many of us struggle with our whole life, and that's a fear of failure.
Absolutely.
So I thought, well, maybe I could write about that, because I think early in my life and early in most people's life, they're kind of motivated about fear of failing.
Mhm.
You look at Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan, a lot of these people had this fear of failing, but they got beyond it. And
Right.
one of the things that I've discovered was, rather than trying to hide, people get this fear of failure and they don't do things because they're afraid of doing them.
Right. Right.
So they just quit before they even start. And I thought, well, this Ironman triathlon experience was a real eye-opening thing to me about, hey, you actually can get through things.
That's
and
good.
not be afraid of them, but just take it as it comes, step by step, be in the moment, worry about what's going on now, rather the enormity of things.
Right.
Especially in an Ironman triathlon, if you think at the starting line that, man, I'm going to be out here for 12, 13, 14 hours, you probably might say, man, this isn't worth it. But when you deal with it in steps, and one step at a time, one swim stroke at a time, you can actually get through things and be in the moment. But the same thing goes with your own personal life. There are things that you think are just, inconceivable. I can't do that. There's a pole vaulter that said, life is, I can't remember exactly what the saying was, but it's ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
That's good.
And you can actually do more than you think you can do. And that's what I discovered with the Ironman triathlon. I thought there was no way in hell I could ever finish an Ironman triathlon. But the same goes with your personal life and business and things like, I'm going to redo my house.
Right.
And you got to get motivated to do that. And you have to have the right mindset.
We were talking about this at lunch today.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah, so that's kind of what the book is about.
That's good.
It was actually centered more on business, but then I thought, man, there are so many personal examples with this that I think it could be a help to a lot of people. So that was my motivation for writing the book, and I got an editor working with me and such, and it's taken a lot more time than I thought it would, and a lot more effort, but it's been a real experience, and I think we're going to roll out the book now in August.
Oh, very
so it'll
good.
be on Amazon.
Do we have a title for it yet?
Yeah, it's Leap Beyond Your Limits.
Leap Beyond Your Limits. And I just have to put in a plug for you. I hope that you're going to do a recorded version of this book for people like me who don't like to sit and read. And I hope that you do the recording, because I like your voice. I like the way you talk.
Thank you.
You got that? Yes. It's good.
George Costanza.
That's
from
good.
Seinfeld.
I love it.
So
I love it.
I can only do recorded versions or
Yes.
the VCR
That's
version.
exactly right. That's right. Don't let some boring person do the recording.
That's right. That monotone doesn't work when you're trying.
Well, any big plans for Pillar?
Yeah, in fact, the company that I invested in and subsequently became one of the main owners of, actually started in 1987. It's been around for years, doing last mile deliveries. And I got involved in actually 2003 and became a partner. Unfortunately, both of my partners passed away, so here I am. But we got together with our senior team, myself and a couple of the other owners, and we said, hey, what are we really trying to do here? The pandemic opened up our eyes of what a significant industry this is and could be, with still a lot of potential. So we had a strategic planning meeting, and what we decided to do was we decided to change our name. We're going to be Summit Delivery Services. but also we also defined exactly what we want to do.
And this is a new update, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's funny. I graduated with an MBA in business, and we should have done this years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is like basic business 101. What do you want your company to stand for, and what are you doing? Like, for instance, my company, we're not the low cost price leader. We're in the middle there, but we provide high standards of service, which is very important to retailers. The top retailers are really interested in that. So that's our niche. Our niche is not to go after the bottom feeders, just deliver and toss it on your front doorstep. Our niche is to get into your home, deliver it, make sure you're satisfied, hook everything up properly.
Right.
And it's more of a sophisticated type delivery.
Is that why you went from pillar being like the underpinning to being the summit, the top?
That's exactly true.
Okay.
And
I like it. I like it.
We spent a lot of time talking about that too. And we had like 90 some different names, and we narrowed it down to there.
I love it.
So I think it's significant to a lot of people. Our logo says it all.
That's good.
And so it's really exciting for us. So at the end of this month, along with my book, we're also rolling out our new company and our new image and such. The other thing that we did that was very significant was we didn't have a significant presence on LinkedIn, and everybody is now. So now we're going to have a big marketing campaign on LinkedIn.
Very good. And that's how we met, right? Through LinkedIn.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, very
It
good.
is. So, but that's become very significant for everybody.
You bet.
Used to be in our industry, it was a word of mouth type of thing. Now it's not, and a company can come out of nowhere and have a LinkedIn presence, and all of a sudden they're a big deal.
Right.
And we saw that and said, man, we're missing the boat on this. So we're changing that.
That's good. Pivot.
Now I'm assuming that you guys are basically setting up relationships with these large retailers,
Yes.
and you become a delivery option when an item is purchased. There's not a consumer wouldn't be able to like, hey, I just bought a refrigerator. I need somebody to deliver this thing for me.
Well, we could, except that we are significant with the large retailers, and here's the key: is that you buy something, say, from Best Buy. My truck comes and delivers it to your house. You don't even know who we are. For all you know, we're Best Buy.
Right.
And that's what the retailers want. The retailers want to concentrate and focus on selling product, but they want their brand still known. So we are an extension of their brand, and to the consumer, it's invisible.
That's good.
And so most of the time you go through the retailer, and they utilize us.
Now, do you guys get like uniforms from the retailers, and they want you to wear like
we do
the Best Buy shirt when you do a Best Buy delivery?
We do that. That's their branding.
Right.
And some of our trucks even have their decals all over them.
Wow.
So there's some of that. But the problem with some of that though is there's a lot of regulations and a lot of legalities that many of the retailers prefer not to have their names all over our trucks.
Right.
And there's a co-employment issue and things like that they're concerned with. So we need to deal with that.
Well, what advice would you give someone that's interested in getting into logistics as a career?
Well, that's interesting you brought that up, because I actually did a podcast with a company about how to do that. We are, with the National Home Delivery Association, we have a two-pronged approach to trying to develop our industry. One of them is we started a leadership institute to bring up and coming people, supervisors, and executives into our industry. This is in conjunction with High Point University, where we have a program where they actually get a fellowship in leadership and how leadership specific to our industry. We're also starting a project where it's called the IC Accelerator Project, where we are teaching people how to become businessmen and how to get into this industry. Before the industry developed its own by, the brother-in-law or a relative or a friend, and teaching someone else, one of your friends, how to be a last mile delivery person. Now we're becoming more and more sophisticated with that, and we hope by next year to have this program rolled out where people can enroll somewhat like a trade school
Mhm.
in this type of industry. You
Cool.
know, and what they need to do to succeed. A lot of
Right,
people
right.
get into it and they fail because they really don't know how to go about dealing with the trucking authorities, how to handle the merchandise, how to handle yourself, and
Right.
not get hurt and things like that. So we are working on that as an industry as well.
So get involved with the association, I guess.
Absolutely.
How do they get a hold of the association?
We have a website called, it's a long one, nationalhomedeliveryassociation.com. Someone else had the rights to nhda.com, so we couldn't buy that, but you can go and look in that site there, or you can go to my company, pillarlogistics.com, and find out more about our industry as well.
Very good.
Soon to be Summit Delivery
That's right.
Services.com.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
There it
Well, Don, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And
Don.
There you go.
and I know who to call if I have a problem with delivery now.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so.
Thank you
Man,
very much.
I
It's
know.
been a pleasure to be
Yeah,
here.
I love it.
Well, with that, we will see you guys next time.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Behind the Curtain, Nashville's Movers, Shakers.
And taste makers.
We hope you've been inspired by the stories of passion, perseverance, and innovation right here in Nashville.
A big thank you to our guests for sharing their journeys and to you, our listeners, for joining us. And of course, our gratitude to Accord Real Estate for making this conversation possible.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform.
Thank us.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I guess I did. Well, thank us. Okay.
Like I was saying.
Oh, yeah. Go
Don't
ahead.
forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite platform to catch every episode and hit that notification bell. We've got plenty more fascinating guests lined up, ready to share their insights and inspirations.
And we love hearing from you. So reach out to us with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for who you'd like to hear from next.
Until next time, keep chasing your dreams and making your mark in Nashville.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember,
Am I talking to Casey
it's the
Kasem?
people behind the scenes that make the city shine.
I love it. Take care. See you behind the curtain.